Now I solved some strange situations. I have output 5 and output 7. One is for M3 and another one is for M4. And on them is connected relay. Actually two relays which make connection to ground, because VFD works in that way. It needs connection to ground on M0 and or M1. So I have M0 and M1 inputs, and when it's M1 connected to ground, it makes a motor to rotate on one direction, and when it's M1 connected to ground, it rotates on opposite side. And when are both connected on ground, motor stops. And what interesting situation I had is when I type so I was trying M3, M4, M5, and ideally is when you give command M3, it needs to be executed instantaneously. So now it's working okay, so I will show what happened. When I press M3, I can see I need to have, so M3 was already activated, so I will try with M4. M4 output 7 will be activated, and M5 was instantaneously shut down. And when I press M5, both need to be activated, M5 and M7. Okay. And when I press M3, only output 5 needs to be turned on. Okay, so this is how it needs to work. I thought that maybe problem is because I'm using this power supply. I first connected this 24 volts. This controller have outputs, and outputs are separated in groups, and in each group you have 4 outputs, and for each group you need to bring its own power supply, because power supply from this power supply 24 volts, it's not connected to outputs, it's galvanically separated, so you need to give additional source of power supply. So I first connected this power supply. It's from I don't know, copying machine or printer or something like that. It has 5 volts and 24 volts. And the thing is that I thought that maybe it's something wrong with power supply. So this is 24 volts and this is 24 volts. So I change connections. I connected this to here and this to outputs, and I still had problem. And now I will show how problem looks. And now I connected back how it was when I had strange problems. So now I have output 5 and output 7, and when I give command for M3 output 5 needs to be activated instantaneously. M3 okay, and so now we'll have problem. M4, so this is for controlling spindle, activates M3, activate in clockwise direction or counterclockwise, and M4 activate in opposite direction. And I was confused why it's turn off, silent. Really, it's look strange. So when I press M5, it means stop spindle. What will happen? It works strange. M3, M4. One of my theory was that maybe current, because when you let through current through coil and when you brake, you turned off power supply, current wants to flow, and because of that you need to use these diodes to protect inputs digital from card. And I thought maybe it's connected something with that, current goes a little bit until it diminish to 0. And easiest way was to disconnect relays and to try to activate outputs, and problem didn't disappear. So I can show how it looks on contacts. So when I try to zoom, so when I give command M3, so like it has mind of his own. M4, so this is not good, definitely. M5, it's not good position. Just a second. So to explain one more time, one relay is, the function of relay is just to connect this is M0 and M1, and when M0 is connected to ground, motor rotates in clockwise direction, and when M1 is connected to ground, motor rotates in counterclockwise direction, and when both inputs are connected to ground, motor needs to stop. And this is thing that I do not like now and have experience with this VFD. All other things are okay. Problem is that you cannot, with solid state relays, you cannot connect to ground. So you need to use classical relays with coil, and when you connect classical relay to digital output, you need to use flyback diode, because you will destroy your output. So because when you discontinue circuit, the current wants to flow, and because of that you get induced voltage in opposite direction. So if you, and that voltage is much bigger than normal voltage that needs to be on digital output, so because of that you need to use this flyback diodes. And thing is, so I need to use classical relays, not solid state. Solid states are this one are solid states, and this one is classical. And because of design of this VFD, I'm using this. And now when I have experience with this type of outputs of VFD, I bought this VFD which have construction in that way that you need to connect 24 volts, and it's much easier to control voltage with solid state relays. You can control it with classical relays, but you need to be aware of things that you can destroy your output, so you must use this. So this is little warning. And what is happening? So when I to see how I can see nice. Maybe a little light. So this is do-it-yourself DIN rail connector for relays. It works on 24 volts, and what is happening? When I give command M3, one of these two contacts needs to connect. Black wire is ground and white wire is M0. So when I give command to output M3, it needs to short circuit these two wires, and when I give command M4, it needs to short circuit this wire and black wire. So we can see what is happening, what is actually happening. M3 okay. M4 this is not okay. M5 this is, I can live with this, but I do not like it. But this is okay, and this is really unacceptable. This is not acceptable. And like I thought it's connected with power supply, so I switch from one supply to another one, and that did not help. And I saw before, I don't know how much year or so, I tried to edit function for controlling spindle clockwise and counterclockwise direction. And thing is that, so this is command for activating my relays. It works when I give M3 command, it activates signal output 1 and deactivates output 2, and this command do spin clockwise was already in this function M3. And this quote is when you want to disable command. So now command is disabled file save, file open, M4, and here for counterclockwise direction I have activate signal output to deactivate output. I do not know what this does, but when I do this, now it's disabled. File save, file open file, and this is M5. It connects both wires to ground and spindle stops. VFD, when both M0 and M1 are connected to ground, VFD that understands like stop the motor. So I will disable this command too. File save. Okay, now we'll reset. And now I will show how it works. So back with new battery. What is happening after intervention in M3, M4, M5 macro function? So I have a relay, and when command do spindle CV, do spindle counter CV, and do spindle stop are disabled. Now when I enter in Mach3 M3, what will happen? Okay, M4, okay, stop M5, okay, now it works okay. So CSMIO is okay, power supply is okay, relay is okay. You only need to disable those clockwise and counterclockwise functions. I don't know why it's working like this. I will try to put commands behind those two commands. It's a little bit confusing when I'm talking. M3 works, M4 works, M5, M3. So everything is working instantaneously like it should. And here is on controller M4, M3, M5. So it's working. So after I made changes in functions M3, I made changes in functions M3, M4. I enabled this do spin CV, but I copy pasted behind activate signal. I also did in M4. I copy pasted behind, and also in function for M5 for stopping. So I can close, reset, and I can try is it acceptable behavior or not. So M3, okay, M4, not okay, M5, not okay, M4, AM3, AM5. So I need to disable those three functions if I want motor to behave like I want. And for that, once again, what I need to do, operator, web script file, open file. First I will find this little mark code, letter, I don't know how you say, copy file, open file, no, and now I will copy paste it here. Okay, so this will be no active. File, save, file, open file, disable this, file, open file, and file, disable this, file, save. Okay, reset, and let's try again. So M3, M3, M4, M5, M4, M5, M3, M3, M5, M4, M3, M4, M3, M5. So now it's working how I want that works. So this is solution of one of many problems that you have when you need to rewire everything again. What is it? Focus now. So since last time I added these 8 relays, only those of 6 I'm using, and that all works. It's for controlling tailstock, power chuck and part catcher. And now I went to install these 2 classical relays, and I connected it all, and I was in surprise what is going on with outputs, why it's a little bit turned on but then turned off. And this is the solution. Next thing is to connect analog signal for controlling frequency of VFD.